back. Their fuel gauge is low. The light is fading.
The dilemma that you face if you stay out a couple of minutes longer, well, that's a couple of minutes fuel you need to get back in.
The chopper turns for home. Then, in the vast grey swell, they see a dark shape. It's Campbell. But spotting him is one thing. Rescuing him seems impossible.
If you give up, you know that that fellow's going to die.
David Key hooks himself onto the wire and steps into the elements. As Darryl Jones struggles to hold position, David is inched into the abyss.
The first thing I noticed when I went out was just the ferocity of the wind. It was just absolutely just thumping into me.
In the cockpit, the radar altimeter measures the distance between the helicopter and the surface of the water. Darryl Jones can't believe what he's reading.
I had 100 feet held on the radar. When a wave passed underneath us, the needle on the radar came from 100 feet back to 10 feet. So we're having 90-foot waves basically passed under us.
Dangling helpless beneath the chopper, David Key is swept up in the massive swell before being slammed back down into its depths.
And then just the complete silence and the darkness. And then bang, out the back of it. And because it's virtually solid, I was actually falling out the back of the wave. And then I'd hit the water again and come back up and look up, and there's another one right in front of me. And it's just, I kept thinking, God, here we go again. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
He is tossed and bludgeoned as each wave sweeps over him. Huge walls of water catch him again and again. Eventually, he surfaces, gasping for air, right next to John Campbell.
Probably would have only been about 10 feet from me. I had a good look at his face and could just see it was just absolutely smashed in on one side. So I just put the strop on him, but he couldn't really help me because he was just completely limp.
David signals to be lifted up, and the two men are winched skyward. The helicopter is now low on fuel. But as the cable pulls the two men to the door of the chopper, the winch jams. Moisture in the air causes a short circuit to its electrical supply. The pair hang helpless, out of reach of Barry Barkley, the winchman. Buffeted by the howling winds, John starts slipping out of his harness.
I was utterly exhausted. I had almost no ability to hang on, so I think I was completely at the mercy of Dave and his ability to keep me attached to the harness.
So I managed to grab Campbell's his bottom and started to push him up through the harness, and I managed to push him up far enough that Barry could grab a great handful of his long johns and gave him the biggest wedgie I could ever think of and just pulled him up into the helicopter door.
Inside the cabin, Campbell immediately goes into shock. His blood pressure is dropping rapidly. His internal organs aren't receiving the oxygen they need and are in danger of shutting down. Pilot Darryl Jones heads for land. He wills the aircraft through the screaming winds. He knows the fuel level is now dangerously low.
Maybe that's one of the reasons I'm still here, is it pushed the survival instinct a bit harder to get me home.
At 8:15 p.m, they touch down on the first available land, a local football field. The engine runs out of fuel 40 seconds later. Campbell is rushed to hospital. He is suffering from hypothermia, has a broken nose and jaw, and a smashed cheekbone. It takes John weeks to recover. He is one of the lucky ones.
At least 2 people have been killed and 10 others are missing in the worst disaster.
The death toll from the Sydney to Hobart race has reached 5 in what is now one of Australia's worst yachting disasters. One sailor...
When the race is over and all are accounted for, 6 sailors are dead. "55 people are winched to safety. 46 are injured. The race is won by Sayonara, but the cheering crowds that usually greet the winner are absent. "115 yachts started the race. Just 44 make it to Hobart. It is the worst sailing disaster in Australian history. But one of the world's toughest ocean races continues, and there are few who want it any other way.
Encountering a storm is at the thrill of ocean racing, absolutely. That's what you do it for, to get out the other side.
Would I do a Sydney to Hobart again? If the opportunity arose, maybe. It's certainly not something I'm losing sleep over.
I'd want to see the boat first, and I'd probably have a little bit of a look at the weather forecast, but otherwise I'd be there.